Welcome to Variables and Mathematical Operators lecture. So, variables. Variables are assigned objects, and these objects can be numbers, strings, lists, data frames, and so on. If you think of a variable as an empty box that's filled with an object, as a similar process to assigning a variable. Then we have mathematical operators, which include, of course, addition, subtraction, multiplication, power, division, floor division, modulus, int, which is short for integer, and float. Don't worry about the last four of these mathematical operators. They're quite simple concepts to learn, which we'll be covering in this lecture. So we'll just scroll down a little bit to make some space, and we'll do some simple mathematical operations. So 100 plus 20 gives 120, subtraction gives 80, multiplication gives 2000, and then lastly division gives 5.0. Okay. And let's say we do power, so let's just make another space here, and if you hold control and then do left tab, we can print out the output twice. So we've got print, and we do 4 times 2. In this case, I'm going to change the top one here to 4 times 4, and then we run this and we have the output of 16 and 16, and if we do 3, we're going to get 64. So essentially it's 4 times 4 times 4, and we can just show this here as well. On the top line, we have 64 as well. So that's the power operator. And then let's say we do var equals 5, and I'm going to make some space here again as well. So we just tap on the empty space here, then press L. Oops. So just tap here, that goes blue, then press L. So we want all of these lines here, 2 to 5, with prints. So again, if you hold the control, then left tab, and left tab, and then we type print, and we'll do, let's say, 40 divided by var, and we're actually going to change the last 3 here. So var is just normal. This line here, 2, is just going to be simple division. This one here will be floor division, and then instead of division, it's going to be modulus with a percent sign. And then lastly, we'll show you the actual process of the calculation by var. So 40 minus, if I recall, it's going to be 8, because 5 fits into 48 times var, and then we do shift and enter to run it. And as you can see, we have the output of a float, an integer, and 2 zeros. So we have actually 3 integers and 1 float. And you can tell it's a float because it has a decimal number. So what's happening here? Well, the division is quite straightforward, but the floor division is simply removing the decimal number to give you only an integer. And then with the modulus, it's answering a question, and that is, how many times does 5 fit into 40? If it fits in equally into 40, then you have 0. But if it doesn't fit equally into 40, then you have 1. And that's what's happening here. So, of course, 8 times 5, and then you have 40 minus that is going to give 0. So let's say we do something a little bit more intuitive. So let's say we do 3, and I run this. And as you can see, 3 fits into 40 13 times, but leaves a remainder. So if I just change this to 13, we should get the same output as the modulus, 1. Okay. Let's say we do something a little bit more intuitive. So instead of 13, we'll just put that to 3, and we do control and left tab, and left tab to delete the 40s, and we'll do 9. And as you can probably imagine, it's quite straightforward here. So 3 fits into 9 exactly 3 times, and therefore you have 0. If we were to do 2 and run this, we get 4.5. So 2 fits into 9 4.5 times with division, or rather, sorry, 2 fits into 9 4 times. We have floor division here with 4, and you have a remainder of 1. So we just change this to 4. You have the same output for the modulus. And let's say we were to do 4, just change that to 2. And as you can see, of course, 4 fits only into 9 2 times or 2.25 times, and therefore you have a remainder of 1. Okay. So moving on from that, let's say we do x, y, and z is equal to, say, 25, 80, and let's say 9.12345. And we run them. We have 25. Just going to scroll down a little bit actually. And then we do y, you have 80, and then z, you have 9.12345. Okay, so if we were to do type x, we get int, and the same applies with y, int, and with z we get a float, and that's because it has decimal numbers here. And let's say, for instance, you wanted to convert one of them into a float or an integer. So if we want to convert x into a float, we do, let's say, x underscore float equals float x, and then if we do type x float and run that, we get a float. So we just remove the type, and you have 25.0 instead of 25. And likewise, we can do the same with z. So we do z int equals int z, and we do z int, and you have 9 instead of 9.12345. And we can just check that with type z int, and you get int instead. Great. So that concludes my lecture on mathematical operators and variables. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the Q&A forum. Thanks.